Saturn in Virgo. The challenge. Yours is the test of learning moderation and discrimination in your search for perfection. You can usually think of something in your life that needs improving, and you set out to remedy the situation. This attitude works well in professional pursuits, but can be problematic in love. When this gaze of perfection falls on your relationships, you cannot help but notice some of the flaws. The trouble is, relationships are rarely perfect, and it's easy to find faults when you look for them. Yours is the test of self-perfection, and unless balanced, you can be inhibited in your own expression for fear of making mistakes or critical of others' lack of perfection. How you approach the process of perfection is all important. Is the focus on repair or maintenance? Both work for Virgo. If it is repair, then you will always need to have problems to fix. If it is maintenance, then you begin by viewing your life as is, as perfection, and then you make subtle adjustments to maintain that state. You need to keep your life uncomplicated to avoid excessive worry over needless details. When you discipline yourself to take part in some form of daily self-improvement, you give yourself permission to enjoy life more. Overcompensation. You are likely to have a strong dose of the Puritan work ethic, and your drive for self-sufficiency can limit your ability to receive support from others. Fear of things not being perfect can make you excessively analytical and make it very difficult for you to accept that is which not logical and practical. You become the fuss budget, worrying excessively over the details of your life, especially anything related to health. You may have a very difficult time accepting emotions at all, especially when expressed through a partner. You have a fear that if you enter into the emotional state of your mate, you might drown from their overwhelming emotional needs. At worst, the perfectionist in you sees only the flaws in other people. With this as your focus, your ability to develop satisfying relationships would be severely inhibited. You are learning how to overcome a deep sense of insecurity that stems from being overly self-critical. You need to develop some restraint with this critical voice, both with yourself and others, and develop a regular program for self-improvement. Projection. You are overly sensitive to your partner's negativity and critical nature, to which you respond with negativity and criticism. Now 2 people are negative rather than just one. You get irritated with people who are perfectionists and become easily annoyed with those who criticize your actions. If you are completely out of touch with this inner process, you are likely to attract excessively critical people to you. This can lead to the hen-picked personality. You are sensitive to criticism, yet the paradox of the projection is that you attract people who are very critical of you. As you develop the ability for critical self-analysis, your sensitivity to critical feedback from others lessens, and you experience less and less of it. Balanced expression. You have learned how to measure yourself according to your own high standards of perfection and to allow others their standards. You enjoy the process of bringing situations to perfection without being too concerned when there is still work to be done. To satisfy your need for self-perfection, you have likely developed a daily habit of doing something for self-improvement along the lines of diet and exercise as a way of earning your self-esteem. You are extremely self-perceptive, yet not to the degree of inhibition. It is important that your efforts are appreciated, but you do not go overboard with this. You seem to know how to pitch in and help others without entering into servant consciousness. You have become a master of details through persevering in your attitude of efficiency in all that you do. You have learned to be considerate of other people's processes and express your perceptions of how they can improve their lives with an attitude of helpfulness rather than criticalness. Understanding Saturn and Virgo and others. Those with Saturn and Virgo are being tested with the challenge of overcoming a basic sense of insecurity by learning how to work through challenges piece by piece. They tend to be very self-critical and can be stymied by paralysis by analysis. Stand back and allow them the time to process their step-by-step approach to problem solving. Success comes to them through being diligent in their routines. Virgo is not a boastful sign, and they tend to understate their ego needs. Your encouragement will be appreciated whenever it is expressed. Ultimately, their basic drive for perfection leads them to discover how to effectively and efficiently deal with their challenges. Since there is already an overdose of critical self-analysis, they are exceedingly sensitive to critical feedback from others, so give them your praise to balance this tendency. Standards of perfection lead them either to become exquisitely attentive to the details of their life, or to be highly critical of the details of your life. Realize that these times will exist and gently remind them when you see them being compulsive with small matters. They want to be helpful in your life somehow, and this translates into security to them. The reward that they most highly cherish is your appreciation when they do contribute, and they will contribute, as this placement leads to a dedicated work ethic. They also need to be reassured that everything is all right in the bigger picture.